This is Gemara Baba Basra Daf Kufay, and we like all the learning for today's shir to be an incredible schos refuah shlema for Tinok ben Miriam Ahuva b'siyata d'shmaya. The learning of the entire chavra should bring Tinok ben Miriam Ahuva a complete refuah shlema b'karov b'siyata d'shmaya. We're holding in the Gemara on Kuf Dalid Amid Beis, the end of the Amid, which the Mishnayos, I should say, previously discussed when one makes a sale. And there are different ways that one could sell. He could sell mida bechevel, which is a lashon meaning precise. He could sell an approximate measurement. Now the Mishnah, that was one Mishnah. The next Mishnah came along and he said, he used both of them. He used mida bechevel and hein chaser hein yaser. So says the Gemara, mida bechevel ani meichel hein yaser. If he said both statements, which are of course contradictory statements, what do you do now? Says the Gemara, batal. The halacha is bital hein chaser hein yaser mida bechevel. The latter statement makes the former statement null and void. But let's say he said it the other way. First he said First he said a lashon showing that it's approximate, and then he followed up that lashon with saying what? That it's precise. What do we do now? Says the Gemara. Divrei Benanis. These are the words of Benanis. These are the words of Benanis. Again, I think when I started off the shir, I said, says the Gemara. I apologize. Says the Mishnah, these two different cases. So again, if he started off saying Mida B'Chevel, and he followed up with saying Ein Chaser Vein Yaser, the latter statement is Mevatel, the former. If he said Ein Chaser Vein Yaser, then he said Mida B'Chevel, the Mida B'Chevel is Mevatel, Ein Chaser Vein Yaser. This Mishnah is the Shita of Benanis. Says the Gemara, the Chavera of the other Shitais of Benanis were a chelek upon him. My Kamashman. Says the Gemara, what's Rav teaching us based on this? Tanina, we already learned this in a Mishnah. If this sounds familiar, that's Gavaldik. This is a Gemara in Baba Mitzia. So someone said a sale with similar contradictory statements as Maisa B'Sipayri, that he rented a bathhouse, and first he said Shnei Maser Shana Zahuvin L'Shana, and then he followed up saying it's dinar l'chaydish, and of course his luck was it was a leap year. So the question is, does he have to pay 13 a dinar per chaydish, or does he have to pay 12 for the year? Uba Ma'isa Neiv Shimon ben Gamliel. The story comes in front of Rashbag of Neiv Yesi B'Amron. They said Yachloiko is a chaydish iber. They split the leap a month. They split the 13th month. So what do we see? We see that Rashbag and Rav Yesi are not saying, they're saying that the latter statement is not clear, and rather they're saying that you split it. Clearly not like Benanis. So Rav Abba Bar Mamel started off the Gemara and said, by the way, Chalkin alav chaver Val Benanis. Says the Gemara, Shkoyach, we already know that there are those that argue. Says the Gemara, over there's a tzad that they were a chayzer. And there's a possibility that he was explaining it. So in that case, maybe that's where we say, Yachlaiku. However, in our case, where Vadai, the second statement, is retracting the first statement, Emaloi, maybe they do not argue on Benanis in that case. Kamash Malah, and therefore comes in Rav Abba. And he says, they argue on Benanis. So there's an added chiddush that even though you would think it's clear in the Mishnah by us that he's retracting, and therefore maybe it's pashit, that the halacha is that like Benanis, and therefore that they don't argue. Even in that case, says the Gemara, the chiddush is, says Rav Ramamel, that they argue on Benanis. Amar Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel Zu Divrei Benanis. Says Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel, this is the din of Benanis. They go after the lower of that which he said, whichever one he gets less. Comes along the Gemara, and the Gemara says there's a stira in Shmuel. What's the stira in Shmuel? Zu v'loy svirle. From that which Rav Yehuda or Shmuel said, Zu divrei benanis, it sounds like clear. He himself doesn't hold that way. But ask the Gemara, V'Rav Shmuel damri darvayu korban shleishim ani marich lecha. Rav and Shmuel both said, if they say I'm selling you a core for 30 for shleishim, then yachal lachs ravilu b'sach reina. Korban shleishim sab is sela ani marich lecha. Whereas if he says a core I'm selling you for a sub for sela, then rishon kaina. He's kaina with each item. So what do we see? We see when he says a sub per sela, it's a stira to core bishleishim. The first part says the whole thing is being sold for one price of 30. The second part says being sold per piece. What did Shmuel say? Shmuel says that you're kind of each one. Clearly he says what? That the latter statement makes null the former statement. Says the Gemara, this is a stira to Shmuel that he does not hold of benanis. Ella says the Gemara zu svirle. That what did Rav Yehuda or Shmuel mean? Zu divri benanis. Says the Gemara, this is benanis, and he holds of it. Says the Gemara. Now we ask the flip question. O mi svirle. Does Shmuel hold of benanis or Shmuel baba emsa? Hachaydish askina. But Shmuel has taught us that the case is that when do we say in the case of shnei maser zuvim lachaydish? When do we say you split the 13th month? They come in the middle of the month. However, baba tchilas hachaydish. Kulai lemaschir. Then everything goes to the maschir. Says the Gemara b'seif hachaydash kulai l'seicher. All goes to the seicher. What do we see? We see that Shmuel does not agree that it's pashet like benanis that we're going to say achloiku only in this specific case where it was baba emsa hachaydash. So says the Gemara as we turn over to Kufa Eyam and Bey, says the Gemara, you're right. Ella leilam zu v'loi svirle. Shmuel does not hold of benanis. And what's the reason why in the case of the bathhouse, where he said one per month? What's the reason in that case? He said that it's only Baba Emzach she split him the toughest. The reason is because over there he took hold of it. Hachanami did toughest. So too in our case, talking about a case is which he took hold of it, and therefore that's the reason why he holds that there's going to be a kinyan, but not necessarily cause of the shita of benanis. So says the Gemara, really zuvalai svirle, Shmuel is not holding of benanis. Amar Rav Huna on the second line, Kafayim and Beis, Amri Beirav, Istara Mea Mai Istara. Says it over in the Shiva of Rav, if someone said an Istara for 100 mais, Mea Mai, you have to pay 100 mais. Mea Mai Istara, but if the verse said 100 mais in Istara, then how much do they have to pay an Istara? Says the Gemara, Maika Mashlan, Tafas Lashon Achroin. Amar Rav Chadazim already learned this. Amar Rav Yavi Asaf Avina Kulei Lamaschar. Would have given it all to the Maschar. Why? Cause this din of Tafas Lashon Achroin. Says the Gemara. You would have thought that maybe, like we thought originally, that Lamaisa is just coming to explain, and if he's just coming to explain, then the din is that he added on a dinar per month to explain the extra month. Kamash Malon, that he's not. Again, one last time, that we would have thought that the Havamina was that he said Shtei Maser Zuvim L'Shana. Then he said you have to pay one per month. So you would have thought that what? The one per month is coming to explain that it's not 12 for the year, but rather you have to pay one per month, you have to pay for the 13th month. Therefore comes along Rav Huna and he says, no. The Rav says, like Benanis, that when we have two stiras, two statements which are sister each other, the second statement is considered definitive. And therefore, you will indeed have to pay for the 13th month, because we are going with Benanis that the 13th, the leap year, it is a Zav per Chodesh, and that is the Chiddush that Rav is going to be teaching us, like the Shita of Benanis, that the latter statement is that which is going to be definitive. We'll stop over here and we'll pick it up for the next Gemara, B'siyata Dishmaya.